Hello. I'm in the wetlands. It's just after dusk. It's about dark. I can hear all different kinds of animals. There was birds and geese. There was frogs. There was coyotes. Everything in here is alive. Everything comes out at a certain time. So depending on what time of day I come in here, I notice things like different animals, squirrels, robins, blue jays. Today I saw some doves. And I think it's important to recognize that each one of these types of life forms has a different energy field. Each one of them has built it up over a lifetime to be comfortable with their field. They're able to resonate with the environment. They're able to see what they want to be able to do and sense what they want to be able to learn and do. And of course they need survival. They need to be able to eat. They need to be able to take care of their body, and they need to be able to take care of their environment, building a home or staying warm for the winter. All those different things are important, and those are their livelihood. So what I'm thinking about is that when I first came into the wetlands, I was like one of these creatures. I sort of went around in a circle around the wetlands area, and there's a walking trail. It doesn't necessarily go that far, maybe about a half a mile or a mile, and that was fine for me at first. First 20 times or so, maybe that's where I walked around. I just enjoyed that. I resonated with the land, the environment, the natural parts of it. I love walking trails that are rough and unpaved, and they have all kinds of different things to look at, like moss and rocks and roots. It goes up and down. There's different hills. There's different inclines. Part of where I was walking around actually goes by the creek. So not only the wetlands, which is like a little lake, there's also a little creek, and there's herons in there and ducks and all different types of animals. I'm sure the frogs are over there. And I like winding across by that creek because you get to see the different changes at each time that you come. It's different, It's like there's actually the water rises and the water goes down, and so you see different parts of the creek bed. Oh yeah, I just walked past this one log where it almost looks like the termites were eating into it. They were kind of carving a path. They actually made like all these squiggly lines. I wouldn't say it's termites, it's some kind of bug, maybe larvae of some kind of insect, but there's lots of those. And it's like a pattern. It looks beautiful. It resonates very well. It's almost like the larvae know where to crawl to make the pattern. It's very interesting. They feel each other's energy, so maybe they work as like a macro organism type of thing, where it's like multiple smaller organisms or cells working together, and they do that because they feel each other's energy around them. They adapt to their environment. So my environment here in the wetlands has grown, and so as it's grown, I've gone farther and farther. The first couple of times I went in, I did venture in and hiked a couple of miles. There's plenty of hiking trails in through these woods. And I came across a waterfall. And the waterfall is very pretty to listen to. It's kind of back in the little valley. It's kind of hard to get to. But, once you find it, you're like, wow, this waterfall is perfect. It's just beautiful. All the rocks are washed off, and all the leaves are fallen, and everything around it just looks really peaceful and serene. I never saw any wildlife in there, but I'm sure they come in there. I'm sure if a coyote needs to get a drink of water, he comes by the edge of the water and takes a little sip. I'm sure that maybe there's family of deer who come through there, and they teach their little ones on how to find water at the stream. Today I went in there to the waterfall, and there was a fallen tree, and the tree just kind of went right into the gully, I would call it. It's like, the waterfall is kind of three sides are rock cliff, and then the rest of it's open. So, it's kind of hard to get in there by the waterfall. But that tree, man, it fell right where it needed to be, and it's leaning up against almost where the waterfall is. I mean, it's just a natural occurrence. It's like saying that tree was very big and tall, and maybe yesterday during the rain or the wind, it fell down. It actually was like, well, I can't sustain anymore. In fact, in the wetlands, one of the things I observed is that a lot of the trees have different kinds of bulges coming out of their bark. And those bulges, from my understanding, is some kind of fungus. It basically is a fungus that grows in the wetlands that sort of decomposes things. And so there's a lot of fallen trees in the wetlands, and they have some black mold on them. They have all different types of fungus, like mushrooms and other things on them, green and white and all different colors. It's very beautiful. But again, those trees were end of life. They served their purpose. There was, they had a field as well. They were saying, as they grew up, they took more and more vertical space. But then, as they branched out and as they got more and more energy from the soil in the earth and water from the rain, they started to grow outward. And then, of course, grow their leaves. Maybe the leaves fell off. Maybe there's a reproductive cycle where the trees have turned into other trees nearby through their seeds and the bearings of the fruit. So it's a life cycle for sure. And, you never know what's going to happen. Maybe there's a big old grandpa daddy tree, and he says, well, I've been here a long time, but I'm going to stay here until the area around me feels secure for everyone else, because I want to make sure they feel the energy that I put here my entire life. So that's one way to look at it. So let's talk more about, like, let's say the wolf and the bunny, or the coyote and the bunny. The idea would be the coyote has a large field, a large space. He has the ability to roam around the woods, almost anywhere. And that ability of his has the resonance of the environment. Kind of like how I came in and I said, well, at first I just went on a smaller area, but then now, I was starting to tell you earlier that when you go further and further in, you get curious. You're like, hey, maybe I want to go to that waterfall every day. So I go to the waterfall every day. I think it's like 2 miles there and then 2 miles back. And, I never think about how much time it takes, but I always want to get there. I always want to be with that waterfall. Ever since I saw it, I always want to sit there and meditate and also listen to the wildlife and listen to the water flowing. It just is so relaxing and so peaceful. Even the wind is peaceful. It just takes a whole layer off of you. Try to, makes you relax. And, the waterfall creates a little stream. So there's like a bubbling brook, and it's like all kinds of water flowing over the rocks. And it's very beautiful. So what I'm illustrating here is that those things resonated more with me than the regular wetlands, or, there's just the calm water of the lake. Throughout the winter, that lake froze over, and it was kind of a little bit more stagnant. There wasn't as much wildlife to look at. So, I was walking past it. I was saying, okay, I want to go deeper and I want to go find something else. And I found this waterfall, and there was icicles, and there was crackling snow and ice everywhere. And it was just beautiful. So that resonated with me. That became part of my field of existence. That became part of my being, what I wanted to accomplish as far as being in the woods and observing nature. So just like me, the wolf or the fox or the coyote, the predator, they actually go in the woods, and as they grow up, maybe they go farther and farther out. They branch out past their den, and they say, I'm going to go try this bunny over here, or I'm going to go drink this water over here, or I'm going to go, take a dump behind this tree. And those things are normal for that animal. They're going to naturally do this. And some animals will expand their field naturally as well. And that's why I bring up the comparison of let's just say the wolf and the bunny. The bunny itself maybe has a smaller field of view because it maybe doesn't sense things as much. And so I wanted to say that as the bunny goes out, we talked about this in a previous video, but it actually has to retrace its steps, and it has to go back and forth in kind of harmony of a balance across different things. So what I was thinking about the bunny doesn't really have a reason to expand its field, beyond maybe what it needs. So it might go out and get the flowers to eat, or it might go, eat something else. But the bunny doesn't really crave something beyond what it has. Maybe its body is smaller, and maybe it doesn't need as much nutrition or protein. But it's important to think about, because we're just like the bunny or the wolf, and anybody could be one of these, but it's one of those things where you want to make sure that as you take on more space, as you expand your horizon, and as you go farther and farther in your field of existence, there's things that you should appreciate, and then there's things that you should take on as learnings and sorrow, and other things that you should absorb as feelings and emotion, and you should recognize those emotions. You should have a balance. If you look at something like the yin and the yang symbol, that's the one I use as an example of a balance or a harmony. It's because there's a balance of energy. It's saying lightness and darkness, or masculine and feminine, or heat and cold. There's this balance, and it's always leveling itself out in the universe. It's always kind of telling itself that everything's going to be okay, and it sort of just comes to this peaceful resting spot, almost like a puddle that had ripples in it. Those ripples eventually calm down to where the puddle is calm again. And so that's what happens in the environment. That's what happens with the bunny. That's what happens in the wolf. That's what happens with you. And that's what I'm thinking about. So the wolf can expand his horizon and his ability to go out and get what he wants or what he needs. I would think that the wolf has some kind of determination on when to do this or how to do this. Maybe he moves his field of existence and keeps it within a certain range, but then just kind of moves his den or his sleeping grounds or his bathroom, over time he just keeps going and he just exists. Whereas maybe the bunnies don't necessarily travel. I don't know if this is true, but maybe they kind of stay within their field of view, and they're able to be sustainable and be happy with what they have. So this is what I'm thinking about today. And the last part of this is that I don't know what's appropriate, whether to be a bunny or whether to be a wolf. There was a movie about this, Zootopia, and I'll have to watch it to try to understand maybe what the teachings are. But the idea would be that I think everybody has this internal struggle of harmony, that they don't know what they want or what they need until they express it. And expressing it is emotion. It's being able to communicate. It's being able to love and care for one another. And it's the ability to nourish your hunger and heal your pain. And surviving with your family members and taking after your elders. All these things are important as a balance of life, and that's how you get to the calm state of water, or calm state of being. Thank you for listening.